Slurpy derp, my G's. Hope you're all doing super well. And got another phase plant video for you guys today. Thought I'd do a triple sub sandwich. Just want to give a couple of shout outs to some recent commenters. Moi Fever has been commenting a lot. Thank you for all your friendly comments, mate. DJ Corrupt as well. Big ups for your insight on the finishing DNB tracks video. And shout out to Manuel, always getting there first in the comments. Big ups to Digipax, my Patreon supporter, who's excited about the phase plant content. Shout out to Tantalos, haven't heard from you before. Thanks for joining in, and shout out to Lucas Masek as well, and to Fake 28503. Maybe it's a real account, maybe it's a fake one. We'll never know. But shout out to Smee as well, and also Nefos, my G, who was part of Dexel before, and also a very positive influence. So, yeah, I've got another video today, and I'm going to call this one the Super Direct, because I didn't use any unisoning in this one. It was just kind of straight down the middle, but just a very direct sound.
The parables of phase plant.
So this is the direct, true to its word bass, because it's very full on. And let's have a quick listen, and then I'll explain how I made it. And it's similar kind of way to how I made the last two as well, like kind of using a lot of the same concepts, but just same but different. So here's what it sounds like. And you can also control the speed here as well. So this is, yeah, it's basically going to change the amount of detuning between the two main oscillators. And also, obviously, if you go up the keyboard, it's also faster as well. But it's nice to have a little bit of control over that speed there when you're playing it into you know, compose the bass into a track. It's a little bit of Tony as well, who's just helping to shape, like, yeah, the sound. Just give it a little different kind of tonality. That's mainly just playing with the filter position. It's very subtle, that one. But anyway, let's have a little walk through the bass then. And it's, yeah, like I said before, it's quite similar to the last two that I made, in the sense that the kind of formula is the same. So the formula is, and I'm enjoying this formula a lot because it seems to be working quite well for me, is to find a nice, interesting spectral wavetable and use that as an FM carrier, turning down the gain and running that through two separate sine waves, which are detuning from each other, and then adding a little bit of noise on top later on in the effects chain to reintroduce a bit of high end once we filter it out from the original oscillators. So here I've chosen the Kick It wavetable, which is under sweeps, and yeah, this is kind of what it sounds like with all the effects turned off. So what we do, like, we set the output again to the phase of oscillator, well, this first sine wave oscillator, so it's just the analog sine wave, turning the phase up a little bit to the right to get the FM going, and then doing the same on a second sine wave, turning it to the left. Okay, so same as the last two videos formula wise. And again, this second sine wave here is pitched differently from the first one. So this one's at -24, keeping in the root note. The second one is at -22, which is causing the detuning and is creating the movement, you know, because obviously at 24 it's going to be very sort of static without that wobble on it, you know. So at -22 we got that wobble, and just by adding a little macro and turning it up just under, you know, a semitone, then I can add in a little bit of extra speed if I want up here. Alright, we're going to leave it down at 7 because that's my favourite number first, and then we're going to start to do the effects. But I also got a bit of noise in here, and we keep the level down because it, you know, through the effects it's going to be turned up quite a lot, and we also make sure that we filter it out. So we added in a little filter here and took out like all of the low end. Yeah, so that's the basic oscillator section, and like I said, I didn't global unison it because it kind of just weakened the sound in this case. I wanted to keep it quite mono. And the glide is turned up a little bit, and yeah, we've got the legato on one voice, so we can glide around like a lizard on the keyboard. That's exciting, isn't it? Anyway, next up then, let's add in our effects, and this is a nice kind of effects chain that I've got going on here. What I've done first is I've done a little bit of notch filter, just to exaggerate the lows and the highs a little bit, and we got a tiny bit of movement on the cutoff, but this is just for the macro, so it's not actually using an LFO. So that's one actually cool thing about this patch, is I didn't use any modulators. So all of the movement is just purely coming from the natural detuning, which is great because it's a great way to ensure you get a nice natural sound, you know? Of course, you could use LFOs. It's not going to make the sound worse, but it's cool that you can do a lot of the movement just with detuning, because it's just, I just like it, all right? I don't need to explain myself, for goodness sake. So next up, we got a bit of distortion. Oh, and that's beautiful around there. It really super just saturates the sound and just enhances it in all the right areas and doesn't take away from, the quality at all. It only boosts it. So we got the hard clipping, driven it up 4 or 5 dB, and then we're doing a 15% increase on the spread on all of our parameters, always at 15%, because that's kind of a good balance, to add in a little bit of stereo one step at a time again, okay? So pretty simple stuff right there. So now we're going to go to the stage where we add in a low pass filter and take out some of that high end. And here it's like using a non-linear one, so we can choose one of the modes to color it. So the first one was saturation mode. Then here we're going for the clipped mode, because we're going to do a different coloring every time. All right. So here, you do really take out a lot of volume, because we're really taking out most of the high end, sort of up to about 2,000 hertz here, and it's a slow kind of slope, like a gentle slope with the Q. So there is obviously a little bit of high end left, and it's kind of cutting out smoothly, but 2,000 hertz is still pretty low, so we're still taking out a fair amount. Driving that up so we really hear the coloration of the clipped mode. Then we're going to smash it through distortion once again. So this is where we're going to re-amplify everything. Yeah. So here we got a really nice. At this point we've got a really warm and loud kind of low end. It's kind of been meshed in a little bit together through the distortion, so it's quite sort of full. And it's almost slightly muddy, and we've got the high end back a little bit, just because of that overall distortion. It's kind of boosted everything, right? So we boosted up the lows, so they're really really powerful now, and it's boosted up the highs, but they're still not as sort of bright as we want them to be. So the next step is then to focus on just boosting the highs a little bit more. So this is when the white noise will come in, because it doesn't go into the first two, because obviously we've got our low pass here, and I don't want to low pass the white noise. So the noise goes into lane 3. So it comes added in here when we turn on lane 3, and we start off by saturating everything together once again. So the reason we do that is so that white noise gets blended in with everything else, because we're distorting it at the same time. So here's the overdrive mode. So this is where it gets really, really nice at that point. It's almost done here. As you hear all the kind of things that we set up before, with that final saturation together with the noise, it kind of rebalances it out. I mean, you get that extra high end back in, and the low end kind of fits together with it, and it becomes a more powerful, cohesive sound at that point again, where it was a little bit detached before. It's more powerful and feeling like it's together now. And again, a 15% mix on the spread to add a little bit of stereo in this area. And then again, with the drive, it's quite high, it's at 6 dB. And you'll notice again, it's a different flavor of distortion again. So what I've done is I've meticulously chosen different modes and the different stages that work the best in that stage, and tried my hardest to have different mode every time, so we get the most unique sound at the end. So hard clip, then a fold back mode, and then an overdrive mode. So it's great to use the different modes together. And then I got a little bit of final extra high-end boost with the ring mod bandpass noise. So I've used this many times before. We just use the bandpass noise mode on the ring mod, turn up the bias and the rectifier, and essentially you'll get a bunch of high-end kind of noise like signal going into the sound, and we just mix that in a little bit, around 5 or 6%. Just gives a little bit of bite, a little bit of a crunchy high end to finish it off. And the frequency there is at sort of around 1.35k, so it's kind of the main central biting point of the treble in the sound. And again here we've got a bit of spread. We take that down a little bit to 15% again. And there it's like really nice and powerful, and there's a lot of things I could go on to do with it here, but because it's super direct, I wanted to keep it just like doing its kind of job kind of thing, you know? So it's not like, you know, we didn't use any modulators. I haven't even used any reverb on it. I didn't use global unison, but it's going to be really powerful bass that will just kind of fit. It will kind of fit in any mix down to me, because it's like quite focused in the mono in a sense, you know, and it's that natural movement is working in such a way with the kind of texture and the high end that we added onto it, that it kind of just covers all the ranges in the frequency spectrum. So it's just gonna be bright and bassy and just cut through. So perfect for like Neurofunk kind of tunes. And if you took this as like a basis, like a kind of starting point, and then tweaked that further, but you know, in the right kind of way, then it's going to just be even better and more creative in your own track then. But this is like the starting point to the sound, which is like powerful to begin with. So yeah, I like this one, super direct. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned a little bit about that. I hope you're enjoying the phase plant content recently. I kind of tend to switch a little bit between phase plant and vital, kind of depending on how how much I've overused one and need a bit of a change. But I'm really enjoying this at the moment, and yeah, really enjoying being able to use a number of different distortions throughout the processing of the sound. So you can focus a lot more on the tone and the texture and tonality by adding in little bits of distortion like over time, which is something you can't do so much in Vital because it's limited with the amount that you can use. So that's great. I really like that. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, thanks again for all your amazing comments and everything. And yeah, we're getting close to 3,500, which is wicked. So I'm going to definitely drop a free preset pack for you guys then for Vital, because I know not everyone has phase plant and it costs money, but with Vital, I mean, it's free, so everyone can use those sounds. And yeah, I hope you guys will look forward to that. Peace out. Have a great rest of your day. Stay creative, stay productive, and just work through any creative ruts that you have. Like just keep going, take breaks when you need, come back, and just, you know, you'll always get to the next level of what you're trying to do eventually. Like if you persist, it's all about the persistence. So never give up. Just take little breaks and then come back is my advice if you're in that situation. Anyway, peace out.